with Margate women's manager Steph Meek ahead of Margate's FA Cup tie at home to Bromleyans here at Hartsdown Park this coming Sunday. Steph, you've equalled the club's record in the FA Cup so far, hoping to go one better on Sunday. How much are you looking forward to the game?
Yeah, very much. I think there's a real atmosphere around the club, especially in the team, about getting into qualifying too. We've not had the best of cup runs in the FA Cup previously, and it's a real opportunity for the girls, and two at home as well. What more could you ask?
And we always talk about the luck of the draw when it comes to the FA Cup. We seem to have been quite fortunate so far. Obviously, Maidstone United at home in the last round, we won that one 6-0. They're in our division. Same goes for Bromleyans as well. They're in our division. They're new to it themselves. It's their first ever time in the FA Cup, certainly at this stage. So would you consider us slightly favourites ahead of the game Sunday?
I'd like to think so. I think being optimistic, yes, favourites. Can we think it's just going to fall in our lap? Probably not. We shouldn't be naive to think that they're not going to come without a bit of fight and a bit of gusto behind them. They're setting club records as well. They're a young side, they're a small side, and they're equally excited to be here. So I think we're going to have to work for it, but certainly the opportunity there to be favourites, which is something we've not had before, pulling Maidstone at home and then Bromleyans at home, whereas previously last season it was Hastings away, wasn't it? And we've had West Ham before, so the luck of the draw has really been in our favour this time.
It has in the past, like you say, been unfavourable, but this time around it's looking like it might be in our favour, as you mentioned. In terms of the whole weekend for the football club, it's a massive weekend. The men are in FA Cup action away at Chesham United on Saturday, and then yourselves on Sunday. In terms of actually both sides being in FA Cup action, both getting similar amount of media coverage and people talking about the games, as the women's manager, is that exciting for you now to see the women get a lot more exposure within the club?
Yeah, I think so, especially at this level, because I think technically we are still grassroots. To have the same level of recognition as the men's team, that's something we've worked really hard, myself, George and the board of directors and everyone around the club really, to push that promotion and push the women's side. We're getting recognised, and we've got our own fan base now that's sort of separate from the men's, because committing to 2 football games a weekend's a lot for some families. But yeah, it's really exciting, and it's nice to have that on par. We go and watch the men's games, keep up with them and their results, and vice versa, and there's just a real interest across the board. It's almost like it's in unison now, which is nice to see.
Absolutely, and you only have to come here on a Sunday afternoon to see one of the women's games and see the fan base you are creating. We saw a group of young Margate fans last week. They all had their signs and their banners. They get equally as excited when they see you and George and the team themselves. Just how does that feel, having that presence within a club? And it must really excite you to see them supporters really looking forward to your games.
I think that's the biggest part of any team, isn't it? The fans G you up when you're 1-0 down to get that equaliser. The fans are there when you're at the bottom, and your fans are there when they're at the top. And that's something we've never really had, I think, as a women's team. Last season we'd be lucky to pull 20 fans at home, and now we're consistently pulling 20-30 fans away. So to have that support, and then to see the young ones that you're inspiring, as cliche as that sounds, the 8-year-olds, the 9-year-olds that are here consistently week in, week out, some of which don't even play for the club, and seeing them get excited, you do the lap of honour at the end of the game and they've all got their hands out, you run along, give them all high fives. Just seeing that enthusiasm and that excitement is really positive, because they will be the ones that step up into the team when they get there.
And not just here at Margate, but I think football in the women's game in general, the atmosphere, it is a real family feel on a Sunday afternoon up here, isn't it? Like you say, you've got the young children with their banners and, really excited to see the team, and there just seems to be a real family atmosphere around the whole game itself, doesn't there? And that's something that's so important to the women's game, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's something you see at all levels, from right up at the top, watching sort of international level and professional level football, right down to grassroots. There seems to be a more family orientated atmosphere around the women's game, and that's something that's definitely present here. You see it on, like you say, you see it on match day. There's lots of young fans, there's lots of families as well, boys and girls with their parents that come and watch. Some of those play for the youth, like I say, some of them don't. Some of them have come from other clubs, from schools. They see people they recognise locally, and they've started to develop little role models, and it's nice to see.
In terms of the broader scale of women's football, we all saw the heroics of the Lionesses last year at the Euros, and yet again in the World Cup this year. The women's game is on an upward trajectory, isn't it? And that must be something as well, that being involved in the game, you're really excited about.
Yeah, I think it's a question that gets asked quite a lot as a manager. Have you seen that sort of benefits from the women getting really far in the FA Cup. And I think probably at the standard that we're playing in the first team at the moment, and the age as well, we're not probably seeing that there as in participation. But I quite regularly go and watch the younger teams at the club, and like you say, on match day with the fans, and there's definitely been that increase and that generated interest in the younger ones. I think as adults we're very reluctant to go and try something new or get involved with something new, and I'm not going to be shy to say that George and I are quite selective about who we incorporate into the team now. We've got a good squad and we're looking to promote, so I think maybe we're not seeing the benefits in terms of participation at a senior level, but certainly through the youth and coming up, and that generated interest across the board is massive.
Now, you mentioned there that actually maybe adults aren't as interested in getting into something new, but you've actually struck up a really good partnership with the Head in the Game charity, local here to Thanet, of course, and they launched their very own programme just Monday gone, and over 13 participants there, all going along playing football, all women. It is a women's only programme. It must be things like that and them sort of projects and programmes that you're associating yourselves with that not only give you a feel-good factor, but you know you're making a difference in the community as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're really proud of the partnership we've got with Head in the Game, to be their first female team to have this programme running, and that partnership, they come and support our matches, and equally we support their programmes. The girls here at the club in their training incorporated some of their sessions to try them out before they went, for the public community sessions, and I think some of those girls will probably take up those community sessions in addition. The fact that they are just for anybody and focused on mental health takes that stress and pressure of oh gosh, I'm going to play football, I don't know what I'm doing. It's more focused around just getting active and having that opportunity to talk about the stresses of your week or whatever it might be to relieve that. And I definitely think that's really important in today's society. We all know what's going on in the world, and and all the issues that people are facing day to day. And just to take some of that strain off, just the burden and offloading, I think is really important. But also to promote mental health in the sport. I think we're very good at, we're going to win this, we're going to get this, we're going to get that, or we want to do this, or we want to develop this, but we don't actually think about the mental fitness. We think a lot about the physical fitness and the physical resilience, and not maybe the mental side. There's a lot of factors in the women's game that can play a part in how a female performs on the pitch. We know there's links with ACL injuries and all those things, and I think it's really important that we provide that support for our players as well, and support their mental health and understand their mental health as well as coaches and managers.
And like you say, mental health is just one of the aspects that can make managing and playing women's football very difficult. There are other factors involved. For fans that maybe haven't seen the team yet and know enough about women's football, what are some of them challenges that women face still in getting involved in football now?
Yeah, I think stereotypically the women tend to still be the ones across the majority of sort of standard families, the ones that do the caregiving for the children, the primary care for the children. So you've got to factor into that childcare, schooling, other clubs that their children might do. I've then got a lot of shift workers in the squad. You've got young families, you've got young ones that don't drive, because obviously we take them from 16, so some don't drive, some do drive, some work, some don't work, some are at college, and it all plays a part. When we're at the level we're at, naturally there's no financial gain as a player to play, so you're relying on their pure passion to be there, their pure enjoyment and their want to be there, and that comes with its own obstacles, because if you've got a shift to support your family, you're going to take that over coming and playing football for a bit of fun. And I think that's something we need to manage and probably proves the most difficult for us to manage within the team and keep those squad numbers up.
Ultimately though, as manager, do you feel that passion and that drive and the fact that there is no financial incentive for the women playing, do you think at this level that helps as well and makes you enjoy more moments like this when you do progress in the FA Cup and you win a big game? Does it make that just a little bit more special? Yeah,
100%. I don't think anyone expects to get paid at this level. It's not what it's about. That real sort of inner fire and that passion and determination to succeed is there across the board with all the players. And it takes the strain off a little bit, I suppose. If there's not that pressure of, I'm not performing, I'm going to get released from the team, or all those things, that pressure comes off, and then they play with freedom, they enjoy it, and they're here because they want to be here. And that reflects, like you say, in cup games and things. When someone wants to be here, they're going to give you their everything. and you know you've got the right people in the door, and they're not here for other incentives. So yeah, I think it works as a benefit.
I think lots of clubs up and down the country, grassroots and professional clubs, they use the term one club and one philosophy as a sort of tagline in their social media and their outlets where they promote their work. Here at Margate, obviously, it is becoming, or it's feeling like a one club scenario that involves the Margate men, the women, the 23s and all the youth clubs. What's your own experience in that here at Margate, and do you feel that that tagline of one club is coming more into fruition now as we move forward?
Yes, certainly. I think when George and I came in, it was probably a bit disjointed in the women's side. Through no one's fault. It just, that's how it is at a lot of clubs. I think you've very much got the women's and the men, and I think certainly in the women's side you had the youth and the adults. I've made an effort, and George has made an effort to go to the younger years games, be visible, be present. They know who we are, and vice versa. And yeah, I think over the last sort of 6 months or so, it like you say, it's now just feels like one unit. You've got the youth up here on a men's match day, but equally we've got the youth up here on a women's match day. I think I've got 24 youth players coming to Mascot, our FA Cup game on Saturday. So it's certainly all coming together and feels like one unit now. And like I say, my team go and watch the men, and vice versa. You've got the youth that come and watch us, we go and watch the youth. I've got a couple of my players coaching the youth. And yeah, that divide just doesn't seem to be there, or certainly is dissipating, which is nice.
And you talk about being a role model for the fans and the players and that comes with its own pressures. How do you and George sort of acclimatise to that?
With great difficulty. No, I work best under pressure. I think anyone that you speak to will say I work best under pressure. I would say the last 6 months have come with plenty of tears, screams, swear words. You know, we've hated each other at times and we've celebrated together at other times. I think it's all part of management. And it's just knowing that you've got that support and that group around you to support that, which we're really fortunate to have.
So Steph, 4 points from the first 3 games. We know what the ambition is this weekend as well in the FA Cup. Obviously we've equalled our record so far in the competition. We hope to go one step further. Longer term though, the season now it's underway and we're playing football. What is the hope for the season come next May?
Yeah, I think long term we've always said that promotion is the ideal scenario. I'd be happy with top 2, but we've got to aim high. Promotion is where we're aiming. I'd like to get to the final of the League Cup. We missed out narrowly last year. I think squad depth let us down a little bit, and that's something we've worked on massively pre-season. So I'd like to get to a final, and yeah, promote into Tier 6 would be really beneficial, I think, for the team and for the club. More short term, I said 10 points from the first 5. It's been sort of water's muddied a little, shall we say, after a defeat at the weekend. There's still opportunity to achieve that. I think it would be difficult with potentially 3 cup games in October, a couple of teams pulling out of the league and therefore games being postponed. The opposition I was looking at when I made that judgment of 10 from 5 has changed very much, and we face in our first 5 league games probably some of our toughest matches of the season, really. For example, Sittingbourne away to start, Excel is in there as well, Maidstone again. So I think it's going to be difficult, but there's no reason why they can't achieve. Yeah, hopefully we'll be Tier 6 this time next season.
Steph, we know the FA Cup can be the rise of many teams up and down the country, the men and the women's game as well. So just how important will this coming Sunday be for the team, yourself, George and everyone involved here at the club?
Yeah, I think it's a huge opportunity. We've touched on it before. We're making club history by getting here in the first place. To come away with another win, it would be buzzing. We're hoping we've generated a good interest as well, and certainly cup games are those ones that you want to get the new fans through the door. There's that buzz, there's that excitement. I think teams naturally play better in cup games because of that drive and that determination to come away with a win and not get knocked out. I think it's certainly an opportunity that we need to take and we need to make the most of. If we can get through that and then get into Q3, we start pulling bigger names. Again, status, you get known. We had hashtag and Millwall pre-season, and we know how beneficial it is, you know, gaining those friendlies against teams with that professional status or that bit of backing, whether that be on media or nationally. I think that through the FA Cup we've got a real opportunity to get ourselves known, especially for a small team that effectively we're quite out of the way. Our talent pool is small because the area we're in, it's quite a commute for anyone really outside of Thanet to get to. I certainly think that the FA Cup could be that opportunity to to get our name out there and get some interest, maybe some new players through the door and strengthen up.
That's brilliant. Thanks for your time and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.